right, how's it going, everyone? Tyler Hopkins back again with TimeOutBranding. And what we're going to go over in this episode is the first steps of starting your personal brand. In the last video, we went over why it's worth your time to start a personal brand. So we'll dive a little bit more into the first steps of if you want to go down that road, building your personal brand. If you think it's worth your time, what are some of the first steps you can take? And that's what we'll go over in this video. And this video is going to be sponsored by Immunity. So if you drink tea to boost your immune system, or if you drink elderberry syrup, if you want to get a better deal on it, then use TimeOut at checkout with the coupon code. So what we're going to go over is the first steps of starting your personal brand. Step number 1, what I'm going to do is ask you a series of questions. These are a series of questions that I asked myself, and it's meant to help you with your branding strategy, is to help you figure out what you want to actually achieve. So I use a lot of analogies with fitness. So think of these first steps as making sure you have all of the questions asked and answered before you start going down that journey of whatever your fitness goal is. We have to kind of know where your starting point is. We need to know what you enjoy doing as far as fitness is wise, because if we can figure out stuff that you enjoy doing, you're going to be able to do that over a consistent period of time, which will get you the results that you need. So it's pretty much a way to reverse engineer building your personal brand by asking you a series of questions. So the first question I would ask, and this is always the most fun one to think about, if you had $1 billion in your bank account, what would you do each day? So this is after you've already traveled, you've already bought all your expensive things, you've done all your impulse buys. But what is something that you're going to do at the end of the day, every single day? What is something you are going to enjoy doing? Are you going to still work? Some people might still work. For me, for an example, if I had, all that money, I'd probably do some farming. I would do side projects just like I'm doing now. I don't think too much things would change. It would just allow me to do different projects that I would enjoy doing, which is why my brand's based around all these different projects. So for you, it might be you would still love cooking every day. Maybe you would get big into cooking exotic food. Maybe you would just sit around and play video games all day. Whatever you would do, that's what you're going to think about. If you had all the money in the bank account, and if you didn't have any worries or expenses, what's something that you're going to enjoy doing? Because if you can then build your personal brand around that, well, then you're going to be able to put in those reps that it's going to take to pretty much get that $1 billion, baby. Not really. You probably will never get $1 billion. So for instance, I'll use my brother as an example with stuff. He's really big into jujitsu, so that's something he's very passionate about. And he would still do that if he had $1 billion in his bank account. He would probably do different business ventures within that niche. But that's a good way that you can figure out what you're passionate about. So you answer that for yourself. Like, what is that thing that you would enjoy doing? Like I said, for me, it's building brands. I would still enjoy the fuck out of doing stuff like this. It would just expand what I'm able to do. I would probably do a restaurant with my brother. I would probably do a gym with him. We would do all the things that we would want to do if money wasn't an issue. We would still like to do business, though. Like, that's what we enjoy doing each day. So whatever that is for you, that'll help you build your personal brand. If that's, helping people, if that's taking care of babies, like whatever that thing is, that's a good way to find out by asking yourself that question. All right, number 2, what community do you want to be a part of? So this is going to be important because, if the community you want to be a part of, like if you're into gaming, And if the community that you have been involved with, if you don't enjoy it, it's really going to be hard for you to build a community around people you don't like. So that would be the next step, is just to ask yourself that question, like, who would you want to basically hang out with each day, um, if you could have any kind of option. So for me, I like business. I like people who are wanting to start their own little projects, because I get to experiment with strategy and branding, and it's fun for me. Like, that's what I enjoy. So for me, I would be able to help somebody else do that on a consistent basis, and that is the type of community I would want to be a part of, are the people who are taking action. They want to start a gym, they want to start a jewelry line, they want to start a candy, they want to do these different things. Like, that's a cool community I would want to be a part of. Not, people who play video games. They're pretty much into doing that, and that wouldn't be as far as my skill set. If they wanted to build a brand around them being a video game player, then it goes into them wanting to have a brand as a project. So I would be into that community. So ask yourself the same thing. Like, are you into hunting? Would that be a community you would want to be a part of? So this is just a way to reverse engineer which direction you should take. Number 3 is, what communication method do you enjoy doing? So do you like talking? Do you like being on video? Do you like writing articles? Do you like taking pictures and expressing yourself, your communication method through visual videos, through images, through speaking, through doing creative? I like doing a mix of things. So for me, as the example, my communication method is pretty much visual. And the easiest way for me to also show you visual things is by doing these screen captures, and by you actually hearing more context of what I'm doing. Like, if I'm making a logo, like the TimeOut branding logo, like, what is the thought process behind the colors that I chose? Why did I choose to do a crying baby for the O? Like, why did I do branding underneath in a smaller, thinner font? Like, all of these things is a great communication method, because it adds more context to the things that I enjoy doing. So that would be why I chose this communication method, and you would just need to figure it out for yourself, because it needs to be something that you can do on a consistent basis to build an audience. So if I'm saying I'm going to put out videos twice a week, it needs to be something that I'm going to be comfortable doing, and I have no problem being in video. I have no problem showing you the different things that are going to add you value. So I wouldn't need you to see my screen and the different things that I'm using. So that's my communication method. And then, what value can you add to an audience? So if you're like my brother and you're big into jiu-jitsu, and he can easily coach you in pretty much any method, he knows the business side inside and out. So that helps him be able to add value to, if somebody is just starting a gym, for instance. He can teach you how to get members. He can teach you how to build a culture. He can teach you how to teach kids. That's going to be different than teaching adults. So all of these different things is value that he can add to an audience. So you have something of value that you can add to an audience. That's pretty much what you just have to ask yourself and figure that part out for yourself. So for me, I know a lot of people are going to get value out of starting their own personal brand just by watching me do it. And then if they also want to do stuff like build their own brand, like if they wanted to do a tea or a certain type of product, and if you like a website like this, which this is just a Shopify website, and I just tried to aesthetically make everything look good and appealing to somebody and get all the information out there. If this is like a website you would want to have, then I'm going to teach you how to do that. That's the value that I can add, and I enjoy doing it. Just like my brother, he'll be able to teach you the insides and outs of coaching, coaching jiu-jitsu, running the business side of it. So for you, it could be cooking. Your whole brand, instead of it being based on like mine, which is all these different random projects that I have going on. Like I enjoy that. That's part of me. I wouldn't tell you to have all these different projects that you're working on if you just want to do a info product, like teaching people how to make brands. So this would be like my TimeOutBranding brand. So whatever you would be into, that's pretty much what you have to figure out, is like, what value can you add to an audience? Are you really big into gaming? Can you build a complete audience around a specific game, maybe a specific gun in the game? Maybe you do commentary over other people playing the game. Maybe you make funny videos based on games. Maybe you build a supplement company for gamers, a clothing line for gamers, like whatever it's going to be into, like what value can you add to that audience? So hopefully all this helps. This is going to be your first steps of starting your personal brand, is first asking yourself a series of questions. It's pretty much like your branding strategy. It's going to get you in the mindset of, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do each day? What type of community would you want to be a part of? Which communication method can you do each day, or that you enjoy doing? That way you can start building an audience. You can't build abs without working out and eating correctly. You can't build your brand without putting out content, adding value to an audience, and then building that day in and day out. And then like I said, what value can you add to a market? Like I wouldn't start a brand based around fashion, for instance, because I'm not really big into fashion. I don't think I would add much value if that was something I would jump into. So these are a great series of questions for you to ask yourself. Hopefully this all helped. If you have any specific questions, go to our Facebook page and ask it, and I'll go over things more specifically. And then next week, I'm not sure which video we're going to do yet. Most likely it'll be like how to make a logo. I think that would be a good first series of you visually seeing things. These last two videos have been more strategy about starting the personal brand, why first it's going to be worth your time, and then now what would be the first steps of you asking yourself basically before you jumped into it. And then from there, you're going to have a better idea of how to move forward. So that's going to help you develop the logo, the website, like what value are you going to be adding, what communication, social media platforms are you going to connect, how are you going to market to them, what community are you going to be a part of, and then making sure that that's something that you enjoy every single day. Okay, so until next time, love you all, and enjoy. Bye-bye.